Bulabinak everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're here for the first time, welcome you. If you've been using my videos, welcome you back. So I've been getting a lot of requests after doing the year 13 register study exam questions. Now we're going to look at year 12. So the time I'm uploading this, your exams are tomorrow, your English paper is tomorrow. So let's just quickly go over. Remember, by now your notes are to be at your fingertips. So we're just applying what you've learned onto an exam question. So this question that I'm referring to is from Fiji Year 12 Certificate Examination 2022. So this was last year's paper. Okay, the reason why I want us to go really recent, because there has been a lot of changes to the syllabus of Year 12 and Year 13 English. They are very fresh with the changes in ministry, so these questions will apply for this year. Alright, so let's start with the first one, which is language of science. Now let's go back to our instructions at the top of our question paper. Now answer any two questions from questions 6, 7, 8 and 9 in the space provided in your answer booklet. Okay, very important, write complete sentences. Now despite it being 1 mark per question, if you just write one word for each answer, you will get half mark. So please don't penalize yourself. Write complete sentences and do not repeat answers or features. Okay, do not repeat answers or features. Now, some of you have never noticed this instruction on top, or you have forgotten. So we're going to go through that. I want you to not let what you've learned the whole year being wasted on silly mistakes. So let's start with language. Question 6, language of science, 5 marks. So atoms and molecules. So this is a description on the topic. So let's look at some of the features. We've got scientific jargons, atoms, right? We've got parentheses or parentheses. So parentheses are just further explains what a nucleus, which is protons and neutrons, right? We have, once again, we have jargons. We also have concrete nouns. Now nucleus, electrons, atoms, we know scientifically, those who do science, that they are things that are tangible, okay, or that they exist, right? So you can look at sentence structure. All these are worth noting. Okay, the non-linguistic feature is our heading, which is all in small caps or capital letters, and they're underlined. Feature 2 can be your parentheses, right? So there's no diagram that you're looking at or no symbols that are seen in our language of science. Okay, let's move to our first question. State the target audience for the above sample. So the audience is who will be looking at our sample, or who will be looking at this notes. So we can assume that they are science students. So you will start with the target audience of the above sample are science students or those interested in science. Okay, very simple, to the point. And once again, you are to write in complete sentences. Okay, moving on to question number 2. We will now identify an example of a verb in the passive form. So by now we know from our notes that language of science, we deal with the results. We do not deal with the subject or whoever's doing the action. We look at results. So our verb will be in the past examples. Can you see from our sample that is given? So first of all is made up. That is a passive form example. Okay, so others you can see, others in the are exchanged. Now that's another one. Okay, so there's 3. So if you are identifying from the sample, please, you are to have open inverted comma for is made up of, then close inverted comma. Okay, so all these have to be in inverted commas because they are quoted from our sample. Moving on, number 3. State the effect of the use of the feature identified in part 2. So when you have passive form of any sentences, it automatically becomes formal. So your sentence or your sample, the tone of the sample becomes formal. So the effect is it makes the tone formal. Before we go through this now, I want you to go through this honestly, not looking at the marking scheme. Just refer back to your notes and then you can answer these questions. Our last question is, which is worth 2 marks. So you are to explain the importance of nouns in such register. Now you know nouns are naming words. So when we talk about nouns, we are naming something. It's worth 2 marks. So first identify your noun, which is atom, okay, electron, those are nouns, molecules. So when we have nouns in language of science, it is for specificity. So you're being specific. You are avoiding ambiguity. Remember, language of science is based on facts, tangible facts that can be proven either false or worth studying. So when we look at language of science, nouns are there to be specific. Okay, so explain the importance. Nouns are used, example, atom, specific. That will get you your 2 marks. Okay, students? All right, so that's language of science, 5 marks. Now let's move on to the next question, question 7. Okay, language of business, question 7. So language of business. Now this is a notice that is given, Reliance Insurance Limited. It's a tender notice for sale. So press tender is hereby invited for sale of the following old used motor cars on as is, where is basis as per following list, etc. So we have a lot of features going on. First of all, let's look at our linguistic features. You've got business phrases, as is, where is. Okay, you've got jargons, sale, tender. Okay, you've got there is a lot of non-linguistic features. Okay, you've got the logo, you've got bold print, you've got email addresses, you've got listing, you've got percentages. Okay, you've got verification on who's writing down the tender notice. So all these are features that you can identify before you look at the question. So even a timestamp is written, an address. So let's go to our question. Question number 1, identify the tone of the above sample. So remember, tone is whether it's formal or informal. So our tone is, yes, formal. Okay, we know it's formal because of our jargons that are there. So we have sale, tender, these are all mixed automatically. If there are jargons, they make it formal. Okay, question number 2, identify an example of a non-linguistic feature typical of this type of register. So non-linguistic, I always tell my students, linguistic, you are looking at the words, the words. So that is your jargons, those are your sentence structure, your voice, etc. When you're looking at non-linguistic, these are the non-words. So you would look at the anything that is not written that stands out from the sample. So there's many to list down. So you've got your bold heading, you've got the email address, you've got numbers for addresses, you've got dates, you've got listing. Okay, this is called numeration. Numeration is when there's 1, 2, 3. These are listing. So it takes away ambiguity and it makes it easy to follow the sample. So those are what you call numeration. So you've also got parentheses. The parentheses, these are what is in brackets. Okay, non-refundable. Okay, you've got percentages. So list them down and that will be worth your 1 mark. And like I had explained for language of science, when you're listing something down, it has to be in quotation marks. All right, question number 2, state the purpose of using such a feature in feature. Okay, so let's start with the first one. I had noticed, which was the bold heading. So that is quite obvious. You have the bold heading there. So what is the purpose? It is to grab the reader. Grab the reader's attention. I'm sorry. Grab the reader's attention. Then you have a logo. Okay, this logo. Okay, if you do not understand what a logo is, for example, for Westpac, you've got the red W. Right, for BSP, it's the bright green. Okay, for McDonald's, it's the golden arches or the golden M. So those are what we call the logo. Okay, Nike, you've got the tick. All right, so this is Reliance Insurance Limited's logo. So this is for verification or to verify what is the logo. So for example, they don't put logos just anywhere. It's only if they're represented by what you call a company. So this is meant to be there because it's trying to show that they are genuine, or they are authoritative, or it's their company. So we need that to show authority or to be specific to that company. So once again, if you're writing dates, that is to be specific, avoid ambiguity. If it's parentheses or parentheses, this is to provide extra information about this amount. Then you have listing. Listing is for easier to read or to avoid ambiguity. Okay, so that is the purpose as to what non-linguistic feature you chose above. Okay, explain the expression as is, where is. So first of all, you are to identify what it is. So like I had said, as is, where is a business phrase. And what it means it's exactly as how you're going to pick it up. So if you are talking about a Mitsubishi, let's go look at the sample. Mitsubishi Lancer GL, this is exactly how it is being described as what you're going to get. So it is as exactly as it is. So it's a model 2018, 1299 cc. These are all, I do not understand what it means, but this is exactly how it is listed. So when you go at wherever this place, which is the address given, all right, you are to expect exactly these three models of the cars. All right, means so that will give you your 2 marks. Okay. Once you've completed all the questions, I want you to go to the marking scheme or the detailed solution and just refer back. But please be honest, do it before looking at the answers. It'll also help you in the long run because you know your weaknesses from there. Okay, let's do the third question. So we are done with language of science and language of business. Let's move on to our next register. All right, so this is language of newspaper reporting. Let me just zoom that. Okay, language of newspaper reporting. Newspaper reporting. So I'm going to go back to our initial instructions. Remember, there are 4 questions. You are to only choose 2. So we have looked at language of business, language of science, and now we are on to language of newspaper reporting. So the whole section is out of 10 marks with 4 questions. Each question has 5 marks. Okay, language of newspaper reporting, environment sick, getting sicker. AAP, July 19th, 2022. Australia's environment is sick and getting sicker as the combined effects of climate change, pollution, land clearing, and mining take a dangerous toll, a landmark report. Okay, first of all, like I had done with the other 2 registers, let's look at the features that are present before we answer the questions. The features, the non-words, you've got our title. They are in capital letters. They stand out. Okay, they're indented from the margin. You've got your date. All right. This is the AAP is the name of the newspaper from where it is from the press company or whatever it is that it's brought from. Okay. Another non-linguistic feature is the 1-sentence paragraphs. Okay. Excuse me. 1-sentence paragraphs, and that also contributes to the layout, so it's easy to read. This isn't just one condensed paragraph, it is 1 sentence per paragraph. And then you also have some other, let's move on to the linguistic features. So linguistic features, you have the first paragraph, which is your lead-in, okay, which basically talks about the whole paragraph, the summary of the whole paragraph, or the most important. Now we know that one of the non-linguistic features is the inverted pyramid. Inverted pyramid, so we know what a pyramid looks like, pointy on top with a large base. But for language of newspaper, it is inverted, so it's upside down. So all the important information comes first, and then as you read through, then it becomes less important. That is another linguistic feature. So, sorry, non-linguistic feature. That's what we call the the layout of our newspaper articles. Okay, you have report says, so that is um, it is a reported speech or stock phrase, sorry, it is a stock phrase. Then you have overall, the state and trend of the environment. These are what you call direct quotes. Says a summary of the 2,000-page document. Okay, that is a direct quote. So these are all features from language of newspaper reporting. Now let's turn to our first question. State the feature that is used to identify the first paragraph of a news report. So once again, complete sentences. So you will start with, the feature that is used to identify the first paragraph report is called the lead-in. Remember, lead-in, not the byline, okay, not the stock phrase. This is called, the first paragraph is always called the lead-in. Okay, number 2, state the effect of using such a feature identified in part 1. So lead-in, the purpose is to grab the reader's attention, okay, or to summarize the whole article. Right? Once again, you can always refer to the detailed solution to verify your answers. Okay, next one, question number 3. Identify an example of a non-linguistic feature from the above sample. So you can use the heading, which is environment getting sicker, the date July 19th, 2022. So those are non-linguistic features. Identify the purpose of AAP. So AAP is the name of the newspaper. So there was a lot of confusion from last year, because I would attest to it because I was a marker. Everyone saw this as an acronym, but it is the source. AAP is the name of the source of the paper. So let's verify that with a quick Google search. Okay, from our Google search, AAP Press stands for Australian Associated Press. So it is Australia's only independent newswire service, delivering stories and images around the country and around the world every day. So that is the source of our newspaper article. Okay, let's go back to our paper. So our paper's question, explain the purpose. So the purpose of AAP, it identifies the source of the newspaper for referencing purposes. Right? You can argue as much as you want, saying that it is an acronym and it saves space. It's not. It is the source of the newspaper article. Okay, let's move on to our last question, question 9. So question 9 is language of public administration. So approaching, you only stick to what you know. You are to know all, but really focus on the 2 that you are comfortable in answering. Okay, language of public administration. So we will look at a public notice. So COVID-19 protocols in view of the lockdown measures announced to be in place in the Suva and Nausori containment zones between Friday 11 p.m. 14th May 2021 to Wednesday 4 a.m. 19th May 2021, the Reserve Bank of Fiji will operate with key skeletal staff during this period. So first of all, let's look at the non-linguistic features, the features of this register. So we've got non-linguistic, you've got the logo, you've got the bold heading, okay, you've got the heavy lettering, it's all in capitals. Then you've got dates and time, 11 p.m. 14 May 2021. Okay, you've got email addresses, you've got signature, you've got designation, etc. All right, those are the non-linguistic features. Now let's look at our linguistic features. Okay, commercial. Now let's first of all, let's look at the most obvious ones, which is the jargons. So this is a jargon in itself. Public, okay. Then you have for any queries, this can be a public administration what do you call that? Public administration phrases. So whenever you see that, you know that it means if you have any questions, or you can also have it is advisable that you email you, etc. So these are what you call features that are usually used in these notices. Okay, let's look at the question. Maybe you'll understand, or you will know how to use your features. Okay, first one, identify the target audience of the above sample. So let's look at our question and look at our sample. So who is this targeting? Who is meant to listen, or who is meant to read this message? If you said Suva and Nosori containment zones, that's correct. Okay, so it's just written there, the places that are known this won't matter to someone who's living in Lautoka, or someone who's living in Singatoka, or Nausori, or in Nandi. It's only specific to people who are living in the Nausori and Suva and Nausori containment zones. So full sentences, identify the target. So the target audience for the above sample is the Suva and Nausori containment areas. Question number 2. As it says below, you are to identify a non-linguistic feature and what is the effect in question number 3. Yeah? So we're going to start with our topic, which was, our heading, which is bold. So public notice, it is to grab the reader's attention. Okay, you have also, this is underlined, so it is there to grab your attention. You have signature to show, and his title, so that is to show the designation, so it is to be specific or for referencing. Your emails, referencing purposes. You've got dates, okay, to be specific or referencing. Okay, you've got your logo, that is to be specific or for referencing. Avoid ambiguity. Alright, so those are all features that is similar, and they also have similar answers. Okay, our last question, describe the sentence structure used in paragraph 4. So remember, there are 4 main types of sentences: simple, compound, complex, and the last one is compound complex. So let's look at the 4th paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, phone lines may be answered, thus it is advisable that you email your usual contacts at the RBF for any assistance that you may need during this time. Okay, so once again, let's look at the sentence. Phone lines may be unanswered, thus advisable that you email your usual contacts at the RBF for any assistance that you may need during this time. Okay, I'll take a minute for you to figure out what type of sentence is that. Okay, have you figured it out yet? It's not simple. Okay, it is not a simple sentence. There is more than one clause. Okay, so it cannot be compound. Alright, there is one independent and one dependent clause. So the main or only answer is complex sentence. So you have one independent clause, so phone lines may be unanswered, that is independent. Then you have all of this is dependent on this main clause to make sense. So the big indicator is thus. Alright, thus. So that is a complex sentence. Now let's look at the question. So describe the sentence structure. So we have to describe, you have to write it down in detail. So it's a complex sentence where it has one dependent with an independent clause. And the second part of your answer, because it will get you 2 marks, is it clarifies. So remember, complex sentences, it gives extra information. So it makes it more clear on what the notice is about. So that's why we have the different sentence structure. So once again, you can always ask your teacher. You have time now to ask your teachers what is the difference between sentences and their purposes when writing down a sample. Okay, students, that is the end of question 9, which is the last question. Remember, there are 4 questions, so you are to choose whether you're going to do language of business and language of science, or language of newspaper reporting with public administration. So I wish you all the best, and make sure that you revise in areas where you know that you'll get the most marks, and you're confident that you will get these marks in your exams. So all the best, and thank you once again for using my videos to help you with your revision. Winaka Bakalem.